In this video, we're going to show you how to fit Jacobean wall panelling. Firstly, you're going to need to measure the height and width of the wall that you'll be working on. These measurements will then need to be transferred to paper so you can draw up your design accurately. We're using a 1:10 scale ratio, so our 2.19 metre wall height will be 21.9 centimetres on paper, and our 3 metre wall width will be 30 centimetres. When drawing Jacobean wall panelling, we would recommend either working horizontally or vertically, and in our tutorial we're going to work vertically. Because we're working vertically, we're going to put a panel at the top and bottom of our wall, and our panels are 100mm in width. We want 4 squares going up our wall. There's no real method to it, it's just a guess of what we think will look good, as we think that 3 squares will look too big and 5 squares will look too small on our wall size. You might have to use trial and error when drawing your design. Because we want 4 squares, we'll need 5 panels to separate them. And to work out how much space to leave in between each panel, you'll need to take the height of your wall from skirting to ceiling and then take away the width of the panels that will separate them. And in our case, it's 5 100mm panels. Once you've got this number, divide it by the number of squares that you have chosen, and in our case, it's 4. This number is what your square height and width will be. Once you've drawn your panels vertically, you will need to draw them horizontally. We would recommend finding the middle point of your wall and draw half of the measurement either side. This will allow you to work outwards until your drawing is complete. At the edges of your wall, you will have smaller size square panels, unless you somehow have a perfect size wall which will allow for perfect squares, which is highly unlikely. If you did want to work horizontally instead, use the exact same method but go from left to right rather than bottom to top. Your drawing is now complete and we can start cutting and fitting our panels. Firstly, we're going to cut down 2 panels that are the length of the wall. One of these panels is going to sit on top of our skirting, as we will use it as our bottom rail. Once you're happy with its position, fix it to the wall with a nail gun. We will fit the top rail later, once all our other panels are fitted. Now we're going to cut our vertical and horizontal panels. Our vertical panels are going to be the length between our bottom rail panel and our top rail panel. We need to cut 6 of these for our design. Once these panels have been cut, it's time to cut our smaller horizontal panels. Firstly, we would recommend cutting our panel lengths into smaller, manageable pieces. This is so each piece is more manageable to manoeuvre, so that our cuts are more precise, and then we have hardly any wastage from our material. We have a method that will save you time but won't compromise in accuracy. We're going to measure and mark our first piece and cut it down to size. When we've finished our cut, we're going to hold our panel in place with a block and clamp so that every other piece that gets placed here will be cut to the exact same size without needing to manually measure and mark each panel piece. Use this method until all of our horizontal pieces, apart from the smaller edge pieces, are complete. Once you've done this, it's now time to start fitting them to the wall. We're going to fit our furthest left panel piece first and work our way across. Referencing the measurement from the wall to your first panel in your drawing, make this mark on your wall. Once you've made your mark, draw a vertical line from skirting to ceiling with a spirit level, offer up your first panel, and once it's sat nice and flush on our pencil marking, fix it to the wall with a nail gun. We're now going to place one of our horizontal panels in between our vertical panel so that we know that the gap in between is perfect without needing to manually mark it with a tape measure. Do this all the way up your wall while fixing the panel with a nail gun. Once the vertical panels are fixed in place, we can use the same method for our horizontal pieces, as you can see here. Use the same method across your wall until you get to your final edge panel. Once this is done, you can now fit your top rail panel that will sit in between your panels and the ceiling. Now we're on to the final stage of our wall panel fitting, and that's cutting and fitting the smaller side pieces. Use a straight edge and pencil to mark where the panel should sit so that they are straight and parallel with the other horizontal panels. We would recommend measuring the gap between each panel and the wall, as your wall might not be perfectly straight and there might be a few mil discrepancy in each piece. Once you've recorded all your measurements, cut these pieces down to size. Check that your panels fit in the gap before fixing them to the wall with a nail gun. If there is any slight discrepancies, you can always cut them down to size or fill any gaps with filler if needs be. Once all of your panels are fitted to the wall, you will need to do some cosmetic work prior to painting. This includes filling any holes and gaps with filler, and finally sanding down the filler once it has dried. Check the instructions on the filler that you use for the drying time. Apply 2 coats of paint to your panels. We would recommend using a brush for the edges of your panels and a roller for the faces of the panels. Once you've done this, your Jacobean wall panelling is complete. We hope that this tutorial has covered everything off and helped you fit your wall panelling. If you do have any questions, leave us a comment and we will get back to you. We would love to see what designs you create, so please do tag us in your journey on Instagram, and you can tag us on @skirting4u. For more home tutorials, please subscribe to our YouTube channel.